We were snowed in at the ski lodge when someone cut the power and said, "No one gets out alive until one of you confesses." Whole life, and whoever did it knew they might not survive this night if they admitted it. The wind screamed through the broken windows and snow kept pouring in, but none of us paid attention to the cold anymore. Walker finally broke the silence by dropping to his knees next to Oliver and pressing his jacket against the wound. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely keep pressure on it, and I watched his fingers slip in Oliver's blood twice before he got a good grip. Oliver groaned and tried to push Walker away, but he was too weak to do much more than twitch. Mia was crying in the corner, not the quiet kind of crying, but full-on hysterical sobs that made her whole body shake. Scarlett stood completely still, staring at the intercom mounted on the wall, like she expected it to explode any second. I realized we were all thinking the same thing, running through our memories of that party, trying to remember who had been near Rachel's drinks, who had offered her something, who had acted weird. My stomach twisted because I remembered seeing things that night, little details I'd ignored or forgotten, and now they were coming back sharp and clear. Henry suddenly stood up and walked toward the kitchen without saying anything. His footsteps sounded too loud in the tense silence. Then he cleared his throat and said he needed water, but his voice came out all wrong and tight, like someone was squeezing his throat. I watched Elena's face change as she tracked Henry's movement across the room. Her eyes went wide and her mouth opened a little, and I could see her putting pieces together in her head. She looked at me with this question in her eyes that made my stomach drop straight to my feet. I knew what she was asking without words. I knew because I'd been asking myself the same thing since Rachel's question came through the intercom. Henry had been so insistent about that party, so eager to make sure Rachel came, so focused on her having a good time. At the time, I thought he just liked her, but now those memories took on a darker shade. The intercom crackled to life, and Rachel's voice came through calm and cold as ice. She said we had 20 minutes left to decide what we were going to do. 20 minutes before Oliver needed a hospital or he might not make it. Her voice was steady, almost bored, like she was reading a grocery list instead of threatening someone's life. She added that the person who drugged her knew exactly what they did, knew how it felt to watch her stumble and slur her words, and not understand what was happening to her own body. If they didn't confess, she'd make sure Oliver bled out while we all watched. She'd make us sit here in the freezing lodge and watch him die slowly, and then maybe she'd start shooting the rest of us one by one until someone finally told the truth. The intercom clicked off, and the silence that followed felt heavier than before, pressing down on all of us like a physical weight. Walker exploded off the floor and started yelling at the intercom about how this was completely insane. He screamed that we were just stupid kids who made mistakes, that we didn't know what we were doing, that holding us hostage and shooting people wasn't going to fix anything. His voice cracked on the last word, and I could hear how scared he was underneath the anger. Rachel's laugh came through the speakers, bitter and sharp enough to cut. She said drugging someone wasn't a mistake, it was a crime, and she wasn't a kid when it happened to her, so why should we get to use that excuse? Her voice got harder as she told us she had every text message we'd ever sent about her, every social